last week we talked about, and we were from a different camera angle. Now we're going to show you some more variety of shots. As you can see, we've got a kind of a railroad track for the path the club's going to travel on, and Greg's going to hit this same chip shot, and we're going to do it with 3 different clubs. He's going to repeat it with the wedge. See how that ball moves right down the line? It follows the track. It arcs a little bit, but it never leaves the inside of the track. It comes right back to square. Notice the body was very quiet and still leaning forward, and he kept his triangle together very nicely. So now we're going to go up to a 54. Some of you like to use a little bit of loft and carry the ball a little further. So this brings into, I'm going to go out and, Greg, where would you like to land this ball in reading this shot? Do you see the ball landing somewhere around here, or are you going to, with that 50?
A little farther than that.
Yeah, a little farther, maybe about halfway?
Yep. Yep.
So we call these land zones, and the player, as they look and try to see the shot they want to hit, if they're picking a 54, it's not going to be 10 feet in the air and 50 feet on the ground. It's probably going to be 50-50 or a 1-to-1 ratio. So let's see if we can do that. If we can get the ball to the land zone with this shot. Yeah, very good. Yeah, it turns out that land zone could have been even further. So the more loft you have for this shot, the more control you have over the spin once it lands on the green, on the surface. And that's really a preference of the player as to what they want to do. Now we'll go the opposite way, and we're not going to quite get to the Texas wedge, the putter, but we're going to go to an 8-iron where we're going to go opposite. We're going to move that land zone. Yeah. So Greg's going to try to land the ball somewhere on an extension of that tube on that line. Very good. So a lot of different ways to get it done around the greens. It's really up to the player to decide and hopefully practice here which they're most comfortable with.
So do you think that there's a difference between maybe a beginning player versus an intermediate player versus maybe an expert player as to how they change those clubs? I mean, we see a lot of I don't see a lot of really good players anymore that will kind of get that chip and run. I do it just because I kind of grew up in that aspect of it. I needed to do that. But are you an advocate of always changing that, or does it depend on the person, or does it depend on their ability?
I think it's a combination of all of them. If the player has grown up like we are, we're kind of old school, where maybe the greens weren't as fast, and if we're missing in the right spots, we're chipping up that hill. We don't need to carry the ball very far. We just want to get it on the ground like a putter, and we're using a lot of, I did 7-iron once in a while if it was a long running shot. But if the player learns, the modern young player especially learns to use their more lofted clubs, we're just trying to get you away from needing to use your 60 for a shot like this. If you want to go down to your 52 or your 54, that's good. Get into this position, get comfortable with that club, and then great to experiment and see which one proofs in the outcomes, and you were good with all of them. So you've got all those options. You're going to find one that's going to perform a little bit better than the other, and that's the one that you should use on the course.
And it seems to me players get a little comfortable with where they like to land the ball. Some like to land it a little farther on the green, some like to land it a little closer to the edge. Probably just a personal feel as to what it is based on what they're going to try to use. But I think if the player can always try to get that spot in a general term, it might be a little easier, especially for the beginning player.
Yeah, there's a lot of data that we accumulated in college when I was a college coach of the importance of land zones. Just having one in with your eye rather than going, okay, I have this club, there's the hole, let me hit the shot. It feeds into what kind of shot you're going to hit and how much energy you're going to use to get to that land zone. So it's a good piece of the puzzle.
If you have any questions that you'd like answered, or if you'd like to take some lessons here at beautiful Edgewood Golf Course, you can please contact us. in the golf shop at 701-232-284. You can follow us on Facebook, fargogolf.net, all those great social media accessibilities that we have in a great Fargo Park District golf.